Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Future Factory Streaming Roadshow. This has been an unprecedented year. We have talked a lot this year. I managed to mute language interpretation. If you want to use it, there's the language toggle. So I was saying that this has been a very fruitful year communication-wise. My name is Matteo Bordone, and I will be the anchor for today's webinar. Thanks to Achimga for that. Last week, we visited Turkey within the framework of our roadshow. In December 10th, we'll be in Egypt, and on the 16th in Algeria. And today, we're visiting the UK. So, as I said, this has been a very interesting year. We've had a big event at the end of the Italian lockdown at the beginning of last summer. On the occasion of that virtual event, we addressed topics such as sustainability and Industry 4.0. We're going to do that today, thanks to the participation to this roundtable discussion of our British colleagues and industry representatives. And on the occasion of today's webinar, we will hear what the Italian and the UK sides have to say in order to join forces to the benefit of this industry. So we all agree on the fact that we're facing a complex scenario, and we have to join forces to design the future ahead of us. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our Italian institutional representatives in the UK. First of all, we have Mr. Ferdinando Pastore, Chair of the London-based Foreign Trade Institute. And then we're going to have Mr. Massimo Carnelos, Head of the Economic Office at the Italian Embassy. So thanks very much to both of you for being with us. The floor is yours, Mr. Ferdinando Pastore. Thanks very much, Matteo. Warm greetings to all of you from London, which I'm sure is a city that is very dear to many Italians and to many Italian companies that are looking at the UK and at the British market with, let me say, a little bit of apprehension. I would like to greet Mr. Andrea Briganti, my dear friend, because we joined forces years back when I was working at the Industrial Technologies Desk. Achimga and ICE, in fact, decided to join forces under the support of the Italian Ministry for Cooperation and Foreign Affairs. So we have grown pretty confident with this digital communication tools, and we have been collaborating with Andrea and Achimga over the years. Now, my colleague Antonio Corelli took my place at the Industrial Technologies Desk, and thanks very much for this fruitful collaboration. So, we have a lot of initiatives that enable us to foster dialogue with industry representatives and companies themselves. I'd like to remind you all that last year, Italy featured an interesting trade balance. We hit £30 billion end of the year, imports growing at a pace of 5%. We managed to hit 19 billion worth of exports towards the UK with a growth rate of 4% and a positive trade balance accounting for £9.6 billion. So the second positive trade balance on a global scale after the United States one. Unfortunately, things have taken a sharp turn as a result of the pandemic, which caused a series of negative consequences. At this stage, we are recording a 9% decrease in terms of trade. Exports lost 17 percentage points, which is pretty much in line with what's happening in other marketplaces. So this is just a summary of the main facts and figures, and we hope we will reach a positive trade balance, which I repeat still remains positive with regards to this industry, but it is a subject to significant stress, and the situation is far from being encouraging. Our companies, especially small and medium enterprises, are looking at this industry with a positive outlook, and hopefully we're going to hit positive GDP results, but this will happen around the mid of 2022. So the impact has been very, very striking. We got ourselves organized in order to meet basic needs of this industry, in order to apply the Brexit provisions, and then Massimo will talk us through, especially about the expectations moving forward. And I chair the Foreign Trade Institute in London, and we are very active in promoting trade, and we have a consolidated team that has been working with us over the years. The Brexit factor has had a major impact because Italian enterprises are afraid of being negatively struck as a result of the implementation of the Brexit provisions. So we started working over a year ago in this regard, and we're trying to anticipate future forecasts. We also implemented some short-term actions, and we have recruited several professionals in order to cater to specific needs, especially the needs of small and medium enterprises. Since as of January 1st, 2021, a new set of provisions will come into force. And I don't want to dwell on any political comments regarding Brexit, but this decision has changed the course of the trade policies in Great Britain. And then I'm sure that Massimo Carnelos, head of the economic office at the Italian embassy, will talk us through. And we have been collaborating with them on a day-to-day basis, and with him and his staff, we have outlined a series of promotional activities and an export promotion program in order to leverage on integrated promotion measures and engage different stakeholders. So the embassy, the Italian Chamber of Commerce, some scientific committees, the ENIT, and so moving forward, we hope we will be able to support a full integration of our activities and of our countries. So we're here to support our companies. We are well equipped for doing that. So the ICE is a reference point for all of you out there, and we hope we can really pay a fruitful contribution to the roadmap moving forward. Over to you, Massimo. Well, thanks very much, Ferdinando. Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for having me this morning. First of all, I would like to congratulate with Acimga and with Mr. Briganti, because this is the way to promote our this industry, especially in an era characterized by a healthcare contingency. So really congrats for putting together this initiative, and thanks for having me this morning. I would like to outline some facts and figures and share with you some reflections together with our British colleagues, and I would like to nurture a message of hope regarding what Italy has to offer. Let me start with some preliminary comments. Well, first of all, our country is underestimated by far and large. We could do better, compared to what it is doing, and also due to the perception of Italy abroad in terms of economic system, political system, as well as social system. At times, we are sort of damaged by this altered reporting, and I like to think of Italy as a boxer that can actually box more strongly than he does. So this is an invitation that I would like to put out there for our foreign guests. So to look at Italy with a new pair of eyes, actually. Um, being unbiased and looking at Italy from bottom to top, so from that ecosystem of small and medium enterprises that represent the quintessential element of our economy. And I would like to invite them to step away from political rumors and the political situation, however, also thanks to the pandemic, has been quite stable. And if we look at the international relationships promoted by Italy, and if we look at the economic setup, well, it has always been the same since the end of the Second World War. So it's an open market economy, fully industrialized and fully integrated into global markets with a strong vocation to exports. In addition to that, Italy champions a lot of supply chains and also the use and implementation of new technologies. And I'm very eager to listen to what our Italian friends will share with us. Italy has a lot of strengths, such as its economy. It's a member of the G7 and a per capita income, which is quite high, and also the participation to a wider market, which is the EU market. And in addition to that, Italy has a very strong manufacturing vocation and a very strong tradition in this regard, and it can be compared to France and even the UK in terms of facts and figures. We are the second manufacturing country in the whole world, and Italy is very active in some leading industries. I'm thinking about machineries, pharmaceuticals, and so on and so forth down the line. All of these strengths have been strengthened through an almost 10-year-old plan, that is to say, the national plan for the Industry 4.0 concept. And I don't want to dwell on this too long in the interest of time, but it provides a series of benefits, incentives, and tax allowances to manufacturing companies above all. So manufacturing companies are pushed to invest in innovation in order to increase global competitiveness. I believe this is a very important aspect that is worth emphasizing. The most significant piece of information here is productivity. We commonly think that Italy has been struggling with productivity issues, especially in the triennium going from 2015 to 2018 compared to the European average. But in honest truth, I think that this datum should be broken down and should be considered as per individual economic segments. In fact, productivity in the industrial domain and in the manufacturing market is very positive, especially in certain areas such as transportations, mechanics, mechanical engineering, pharmaceuticals, and so on down the line. And these are areas that benefited the most from the 4.0 industry plan. And this positively reverberates on foreign trade. And I can also reiterate the importance of a solid financial standing, starting from consumers and households. That is unrivaled in Europe. The country probably stumbled a bit in terms of ability to grow. So Italy sort of got to a standstill in some industries, but not in the domains that are of interest to us today. In addition to that, we have to consider COVID-19 and its pandemic. So it's a threat, but it's also a major opportunity because we have a lot of resources coming in into our country. So the European Stability Plan, for example, helps us having and applying more flexibility in the use of the national budget and also the use of the recovery fund, which in Italy will contribute with over 200 billion euros, some of which will be used for grants that will be used with a set of limitations and caps. Such caps and restraints represent the obligation to use those funds for structural reforms and for investments that boost the Italian ability for growth. And the third element that really opens up a window of opportunities is the phenomenon of the big anesthesia, if you will, in financial markets. So we've had some benign conditions thanks to money infused by the European Central Bank that made it possible for Italy to manage debts in a better way and to give credit lines to companies at lower interest rates. And obviously, the pandemic has struck Italy in the first semester of 2020, and there was a reduction by 17% approximately. But as early as May, Italy experienced a growing pattern. The third quarter hit a record 16% growth, and industrial manufacturing was top of the ranking. Between the month of June and July, 85% recovery had already taken place with a strong export component. And Italy is a manufacturing country by far and large, and mobility restrictions imposed as a result of the pandemic have impacted the least on the industrial domain. And this is an important benefit, it's an important advantage compared to the British economy that is more veered towards the tertiary sector or services. So the scenario was pretty bleak last week. We're seeing some glimmers of hope now, starting from this past Monday, and hopefully the country's growth won't slow down by, say, 2 percentage points, and end of 2020 we will mostly and probably hit 8%. So Brexit, and I just wanted to share with you a couple of thoughts about Brexit, and I am now addressing our Italian audience. The referendum was perceived with a lot of disappointment, but obviously we have to respect our British friends' decision. Thinking about the long negotiations that have taken place over the years, well, this liaising has been a constructive one. We certainly didn't want to sanction our British friends in any way. So we wanted to safeguard the citizens' rights, that is to say, Italian expats living abroad, living in the United Kingdom, and also of British citizens living in Italy, and also the protection of trade. So we wanted to minimize frictions that might happen, that will happen actually, in order to protect our market share. especially, for example, in the food and beverage industry. The situation is still uncertain, but what we think is that regardless of what the agreement will be like, we need to be hopeful about the future. We need to be hopeful about bilateral liaising and bilateral relationships. And I understand that this is not the right venue to talk about this, but there will be time for adaptation. And during that time span, companies will have to adapt themselves to this new normal and to these new mechanisms. But I'm sure that at the end of the day, we will win the race somehow. ICE, together with the Italian embassy, have been very active in recent months, and we know that a new cycle will begin, and we will just have to march on. We need to be confident about the market, especially market trends, and we have to trust the British system, which is a sturdy, solid, and healthy system, which represents a wealthy market. Italian companies will have to continue investing their energies in order to support our British friends with our technologies and our know-how. And what's the trump card? Well, we need to be up to tackling modern times. So we need to be able to invest in technologies and product quality. We need to be able to seize the value of the technological contents of our solution. This is the trump card. And I would like just to set costs on the side for a second, because cost policies will be influenced most likely by future agreements and will be influenced by new export rules as well. So we need to focus on product quality, we need to focus on technological capabilities of our products and services. This is a strong invitation, and we have to keep up the good work promoted by 4.0 industry by leveraging on our know-how and technological knowledge, because Brexit will only be a transient stumbling block, I think, and the future will be rosy. Thank you very much, and I apologize if I spoke too long. Well, thanks very much indeed. And what we can do now is to be optimistic, and I would like to thank Mr. Carnelos for having shared this with us. So thanks very much to both Ferdinando Pastore, Massimo Carnelos. I would like to leave the floor to our host, that is to say, Andrea Briganti, General Manager at Acimga.
Eccoci qua, grazie.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'll be very brief because we want to leave the floor to the market representatives, and so that the market can adapt to the changes that were very well described by Mr. Carnelos and Mr. Pastore. I want to thank the Italian Embassy and the Institute for Trade for providing this systemic assistance, because this is an example of how Italy is working together with other systems. This is why we have organized such meetings, to talk to our counterparts in other countries about Industry 4.0 and all the topics and the dynamics linked with a middle long-term strategy on manufacturing. We won't be talking about products and technologies, although Acimga represent them all. Flexo printing, rotograver, offset printing, digital printing, and the converter sector. Of course, we are the home for all these technologies, but we want to open to different markets based on corporate communication, on strategic responses that small and medium enterprises in Italy as Mr. Karnelos was saying, make up the backbone of our manufacturing and are able to adapt their offering based on the needs of the 4.0 industry. So thank you so much. I want to leave the floor to other counterparts, and I thank them. Let me also thank BICON, the British Association, because it helped us to build this event, to organize this event as providing back office support. Again, many thanks to the participants. And so let's get started. Let's get to know Italian companies. Let's start with Simec, an Italian company with 2 plants in Oldatolona in the Varese province in Lombardy. Milan is in the north of Italy, and this is Varese is northwest from Milan, and the other production plant is in Montefino in Abruzzo, on the eastern coast of Italy. The company has been operating since the 1960s. It went through the Italian boom, economic boom, and it presently produces 12,000 rolls. This is one of the best-in-class companies within the 4.0 project. So let's get to know what their interpretation of the 4.0 industry is. So I give the floor to Sara Besnati, and we will listen to a video now. So welcome, Sara. Good morning, everyone. We decided to tell our story in an innovative way. We have developed an ad hoc content explaining how we have interpreted 4.0 industry and how our CIMEC digital background can provide value, can work in the future through the supply chain, also by safeguarding the environment. Nicola Torre will guide you through the CIMEC world and will introduce to you the people in charge of our ERP. So they will talk about big data management, eco-sustainability. So enjoy this video.
Nowadays, we export our products that are rolls and sleeves all over the world, and we also offer our life cycle solution designed to maintain them in the best way possible and to make their life cycle longer. At one point, we asked ourselves, how can we transfer values, experiences, and expertise to our stakeholders that are looking for innovative and smarter solutions? The answer was digitalization. We were sure this was the key. By digitalizing ourselves, we put in place a new way of doing business, our new way of doing business, SDB. SDB stands for CIMEC Digital Background. It is a system that involves every department of our company and that required organizational changes like factories re-engineering with lean techniques and their digitalization, as well as the automation of production processes and their coding. Over time, we have built an ERP in which we collect big data. This enables us to define an accurate identikit of customers around the world. Thus, we are closer to them and we are able to anticipate their needs and requirements. But let's go deeper inside.
When we speak of SDB, we talk about data, how to collect them, how to manage them, and how to combine them in order to get forecasts on customers' needs and to arrange production accordingly. But we also need to talk about digitalization of our premises, automation of our plants, and coding of the whole production universe, from machinery to engraving tools, engraving techniques, up to cylinders, through all steps of production cycles. But we also have to talk about traceability, because CIMIC is able to trace back the whole ANILOX history, analyzing all steps. Therefore, you will hear my colleagues speak about data management, product customization, and performance analysis. These are the three pillars of CIMIC digital background that, combined all together, have allowed CIMIC to move from a more traditional and conventional reactive management of orders based on single orders of single customers to predictive management based on aggregate needs. This new logic allows us to predict and therefore to create some permanent stocks where cylinders are kept in stock ready for delivery. But to be of any real value, this should not remain pure theoretical speculation, but should rather translate into benefits. Benefits for whom? For our customers, of course. Benefits, for example, the reduction of risks in ANILOX selection, or a guarantee of repeatability of ANILOX, always to get a constant quality of the printed matter, or fast deliveries thanks to our predictive warehouse, or still the possibility for our customers to access directly CIMIC database to get all the statistics concerning their ANILOX and compare them with aggregate statistics of the same branch. So, if I was able to boost your curiosity, well, I'm happy to invite you to our SDB.
To manage data, we create a map for the customer's universe, and we collect information about their structures, their machines, how and how much they use them, and the product they introduce on the market. By doing so, we are able to create an accurate profile for every customer and to identify their specific needs. In this way, we are able to produce rollers which perfectly reflect their needs, talking about qualitative, quantitative, and also time necessities. The rollers we produce are then built around their machines and facilities, and according to what they will be applied for, they are also tested and codified, and for this reason they will always be available right when needed. By doing so, we also reduce drastically the usual risks connected to the ANILOX selection, their relative costs, and also the waiting times. How do we customize an ANILOX? To do so, we gather information about the industrial sector and the machines it will be working on. We mean that we study how to construct the roller, how to protect it from corrosion, the features of the ceramic layer, the finishing according to the doctoring system, and also the engraving technology. By doing so, we have then a reduction of both scoring line and ghosting, a reduction of the corrosion risk, a density which is constant during the years, and also a lower need of the cleaning the roller. And at the same time, we also lengthen the duration of this roller at work. But how do we manage to guarantee the repeatability of these specifics? We have codified all the processes, and for this reason, we are able to reproduce them exactly how we did the first time. Every ANILOX has a digital identity, and thanks to this one, we are able to keep track of every significant event from the construction to every refurbishment and then to the end of its working life cycle. So how did this ANILOX perform? Which was the time in between one refurbishment and the next one? Are we aligned with the aggregated sector analyses and timelines? In this case, are directly the factories which collect the data about the process of the production and also the specifics of the production. And they also transfer the data about the condition of the roller when it's sent to us to make it new again, and so for the refurbishment. And thanks to this information, we are able to offer the customer the same product again and again throughout the years.
How was all this possible? How this system has kept on evolving in such a progressive and constant way? Of course, thanks to the collaboration among different players. Today, the collaborations among the supply chain players are more frequently driven by commercial rather than technical purposes, and apparently the most user leverage to conquer the market is the price. Where is the will to offer a concrete benefit or to solve a specific problem? This is why the SDB community was born, to connect original equipment manufacturers, component suppliers, printers and brand owners, and create a technical partnership aimed at offering the perfect package to the end user, designed according to his needs. So, the aim of the community is to create a value-oriented market by giving to the buyer all the knowledge possible of the entire supply chain, integrated in each product marketed. SDB is not just Industry 4.0, it is also sustainability, especially the environmental sustainability. But can this method lighten our environmental footprint? Let me explain you why the answer is yes. As shown, a proper data management and a value approach to the market, the community approach, allows us to settle the analog specifications based on the end user needs. So we deliver a product that doesn't require any more preliminary tests or ink tests, because from the very first printed matter, it gives optimal results. This is how we actively participate in our customer production consumption, by reducing printing supports, ink wastes, as well as the energy they use. A short supply chain and a total control of each manufacturing phase allow us to select high-quality raw materials, drastically reducing production waste and implementing eco-friendly processes, for example, sealing with 100% natural sealants, and being also able to minimize environmental risks. This approach leads to the offer of high-quality, long-lasting analogs. They also require less maintenance and less frequent refurbishments. Accurate diagnostic and constant monitoring of analogs performance are an important preventive action aimed at maximizing analogs' working life. It's with this goal in mind that we have engineered in-house cleaning machines with patented technology that are effective and human-friendly. They are designed to maintain cylinders at low cost and low environmental impact. The liquid cleaner is also formulated to be reused in several cycles and disposed of without causing damage to the environment. We could also show you our second-hand guaranteed proposal that we think at sharing economy, but time flies and our has come to the end. No worries, we are at your disposal anytime.
Molto bene, questa era...
Very well. Thank you very much for this video clip, and thanks very much for presenting to us CIMEC's approach to Industry 4.0, and we wish him also a full recovery. So now let's go west compared to the headquarters of CIMEC. We are in Rondissone, nearby Turin. APR Solutions, which was set up in 2015, and they specialized in machines for bioadhesives, for packaging solutions, and cardboard packagings as well. So I would like to greet Doriana Dorobat from APR Solutions, and she will talk us through about their approach to sustainability and Industry 4.0.
This conference, although we are a small reality in our sector, it is a great pleasure for us being here presenting the way in which APR Solutions has engaged in keeping the pace with the innovation, embracing the fourth industrial technology. Our focus was mostly towards englobing innovative technologies in our machines, making them suitable for producers inserted in the Industry 4.0 context. Therefore, we have developed our machines in such a way as to be integrated in a smart production environment, offering to our customers the possibilities of having any information regarding the production during any stage of the process. The Industry 4.0 terminal installed on our machines can easily be connected to the company's network, enabling thus the user to have access to all data stored on the machine's memory with a minimum effort. This system not only helps the user to control the productive process, but it is also of great use for analytical analysis of the production flow, offering important information which can be used for improving the productive system. Furthermore, the terminal enables to carry out remote assistance on the machine itself, reducing thus the time necessary to detect potential failures on the machine system. In cases in which years ago the physical presence of a specialist was needed, this presence today has been replaced by an internet connection, which allows our technicians from our plants to detect a wide range of failures. And for those cases where the remote assistance is not enough, we are developing a remote connection service through special glasses, which allow our technicians from our plant to see whatever the user of these glasses sees. Furthermore, the device will allow the technician to communicate with the user, not only vocally, but also visually. Thus, the technician can provide indications directly on the visual image that the user has in front of his eyes in real time. Needless to say that this technology is a time-saving one, especially in cases of machine failures which are found at great distances where we do not have a network of local technicians. Another innovative aspect which has been implemented in our company was the bold decision to offer an online spare parts service. This decision was taken on the one hand as a consequence of the need to shorten the time dedicated to process an order, and on the other hand to provide a quick response to the customer's demands.
Chiedo scusa, sorry about this, si è dimenticata di condividere le slide.
But you forgot to share the slides. Apologies.
Se adesso le condividiamo può continuare con il supporto grafico. Grazie. Eccoci. Grazie.
Sorry for that. Okay. I will continue from the online spare part service we have introduced recently. Sorry, it seems that penso che ci sia un problema di connessione. Ok, risolto. Grazie. So I was talking about the new online service for the spare parts we have introduced, which has been offering benefits for both our company and our clients, as the time needed to process an order for spare parts, in this case, it's very little, and the personnel needed as well is very little. We do not need our entire commercial staff to process an order. We do not need to send an offer for the spare part requested. The client, with a click, can have all the information necessary regarding the spare parts he needs. Also, we have introduced the immediate payment with PayPal, which also shortens the delivery time as well. So, and just to make sure that any mistakes will not be done by the purchaser operator, before delivering the spare parts, we have a process of checking for congruency with the machine in the possession of the registered company. This system has been very useful during COVID-19 lockdown periods when our activity has been reduced to its minimum, while most of our clients continued theirs and even increased it. The benefits offered by this system can be mirrored in the increasing use made by our customers. Even if it is not a widespread system in our sector, the results encourage us to promote its use to all of our clients. An additional platform for the smart life cycle used daily with ever-increasing results in the customer relationship management, which turned more than useful, not only for keeping an updated database of all contacts, but also of the history we have with our clients. This platform helps its users, on the one hand, to find all the information needful regarding a certain client and its purchases, and on the other hand, to keep track of the task assigned to the relative user. Our intent is to continue working to englobe ever more technological innovations in our company and in our products, as the demands of the market are in continuous change, and the new technology, the new industrial revolution will not allow space to whom does not keep the pace with the future. And for us, it is very important to keep a tight contact with our customers and to offer the best services we have available today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Grazie. Grazie a Doriana Dorobat di APR Solutions che ci ha illustrato.
Thanks very much to Doriana Dorobat from APR Solutions. She outlined her approach to the concept of Industry 4.0. We're moving now to another speaker, a market-leading company which was set up in 1965. It is headquartered in the Lombardy region with 55 years of experience designing and manufacturing Corona systems. I'm talking about Ferrarini and Benelli. They have developed innovative solutions for all converting and extrusion applications in flexible packaging production. With us today, there's Claudia Benelli, General Manager at Ferrarini and Benelli, and good morning.
Cos'è il trattamento Corona e perché è così importante in questa fase in cui si cerca di fare scelte sostenibili? Prego.
Grazie.
Treatment.
I will proceed in English. I'm Claudia Benelli, General Manager of Ferrarini and Benelli, and I'm here to talk about the Corona treatment and how it is important to our sustainable choices. Corona treatment increases the surface tension of conductive and non-conductive films, such as plastic and metallized films, in order to increase the with inks and adhesives. And it is important to treat these materials because the polymer films have a low surface energy and do not respond well to bonding with substrate like inks and coatings and adhesive in general. So each film has its own surface energy, and the Corona treatment can help in increasing this surface energy and thus increasing bonding with inks and adhesive. A Corona treating system is basically made of a high voltage power generator, a treating unit, and high voltage transformer, and a suction fan. The generator's job is to give power to the treating unit that applies this power to the film, thus activating its surface, and so increasing the inks and adhesive adhesion. So main application of Corona treatments are in an extrusion coating, flexogravure printing, rotogravure laminating lines, label printing machines, and the Corona treatment can help to the path of sustainability because it helps to make the choice of solvent-free or water-based inks and adhesives, for example. In fact, these solvent-free and water-based inks needs a higher surface energy. And this higher surface energy can be then achieved by a correct sizing of the Corona treatment. And
devo intervenire io e chiedere di raccontarci che cos'è il cosiddetto cosa succede.
What happens in the so-called air gap, with this very tiny space between the electrodes and the treated film?
Yes, when the corona discharge is generated in this little air gap, which is the distance between the electrodes and the film, in addition to the air ionization and the film activation, there is ozone production. In fact, the oxygen molecules split into two oxygen atoms. These atoms are unstable and they bond with other oxygen molecules, thus create ozone molecules. And ozone is a polluting gas, and it is dangerous. It is dangerous for human health if inhaled. So in order to ensure the safety at work, each corona treatment equipment is equipped with an ozone suction fan to exhaust the ozone outside the factory through the piping system. But what happens in the environment once the ozone is exhausted? Because ozone is a polluting molecule and it does not dissolve into the air, therefore increasing the level of photochemical smog and becoming detrimental to human health and vegetation. So for this reason, it has to be destroyed. And ozone is naturally present in the environment. It is a pungent smelling gas, and the concentration in the air, in the environment, is normally 0.04 ppm, part per million. Considering that a corona treatment can produce up to 50 ppm, we can say the level is quite high, and so it is better to destroy it. And also we have to consider that the amount of ozone generated by corona treatments depends on the atmosphere conditions, on the humidity, temperature, air pressure, and also it depends on the characteristic of the corona treatment itself, such as the power. For example, high powers will produce more ozone, and high powers are necessary to treat at higher speed or to treat at high levels, as, for example, we were saying before, solvent-based, solvent-free inks needs. So what can we do to decrease the ozone emissions? Norms are in place in order to decrease this emission. There is an European norm dated 1992, and each European country had translated it into a domestic law. In Ferrarini Benelli, we have developed an ozone destruction system. We have implemented this solution that is called OzoNo. And this system, through a system of catalysts, cut down the level of ozone and regenerate the air. And so allows companies that use corona treatment to remain within the limits imposed by the law in regards to ozone emissions. The ozone destruction system is placed between the treating station and the fan before the exhaustion piping to the outside.
Siccome questo dispositivo è così importante, vorremmo sapere esattamente come funziona.
This is so important. We would like to know exactly how it works.
The ozone is input in the ozone destruction system from the top, and in the ozone destruction system, there is a complex of catalysts that reduce the ozone into oxygen. The process occurs at room temperature, and as the granules of the catalyst through precious material do not need energy to start the reaction, and this is important to save energy and avoid cost. And then there are also two inlet filters that are placed before the catalyst so that the catalyst is not clogged with dust and or polyolefins. The main characteristics of this ozone destruction system are smaller size compared to activated charcoal system, very high destruction efficiency, almost unlimited durability, especially if the filters are changed periodically, no combustion problems, and cost effectiveness, as you do not need energy to start the reaction, and an easy maintenance. And last but not least, I'd like to point out there's the possibility to regenerate the catalysts. If catalysts efficiency decrease because of contamination, in Ferrarini Benelli, we can provide a catalyst regeneration. And in this way, you can save costs and get rid of any disposal problem. Thank you.
Molto bene, grazie a Claudia Benelli di Ferrarini e Benelli che ci ha illustrato il loro approccio sia all'Industria 4.0 che alla sostenibilità, e ci spostiamo verso un'altra realtà.
Thank you so much for describing so well your process, and we now give the floor to another area, to another company for treating emissions and recovering solvents. It's a Activol was the founder of Donau Carbon, realizing in the past the first plant and now operating around the world. They have a very long history dating back to the 1920s, but things have now changed. Now want to give a warm welcome to Giuseppe Dell'Acqua, the general manager of this company. You have the floor.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks very much for having given us the opportunity of presenting our technologies that are veered towards sustainability in the domain of production, manufacturing, especially for flexible packaging manufacturing companies. So we leverage on the ability of active core to trap solvents and to trap solvent molecules that are released by printing machines that are commonly used to dilute inks or solvents and glues. And once they've been used, they are exhausted into the atmosphere, and so for this reason they have to be treated with caution. This is our message. So we're going towards sustainability by trapping solvents, cleaning them up and reusing them in the same manufacturing plant without having to constantly produce solvents, transport them for oxidation purposes. So we believe that this is a huge benefit for the environment, and it's also a huge economic benefit. Mr. Dell'Acqua, would you mind sharing your slides? Oh, you're right. Just 1 second, please. Let me just go back. Wonderful. So that we can follow you better. Can you see the presentation? No, we can't. We see you, but we can't see the slides. We should be able to see your slides. If you want to continue on without slides, that's okay, but we could follow you better with the slides.
Adesso si vede?
What about now? Can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Io non,
No, I'm afraid we can't.
non vedo sempre lei.
We see you. All right, let me just continue on without slides. I apologize for this, but apparently I can't share the screen. Anyway, so we were talking about the importance of sustainability.
Chiedo scusa, le slide vengono mandate dalla regia, quindi lei
Okay,
lei
the
parli
slides are shared by our technical desk, apparently, so you can just keep talking and hopefully they will project the slides. There we go. We do see the slide.
Se ne occupano dalla regia.
Okay. Back on track, apparently.
Ora c'è lo schermo condiviso dell'acqua, però senza le slide.
Now,
sono arrivate.
let's see. Now we do see the slides. Okay, wonderful. So you can advance the slides if you prefer. So, okay. So it's actually much easier for me to go back or forward. So we were talking about the importance of sustainability, the environment, and the importance of saving money, especially in the domain of flexible packaging solutions. We intend to stop emissions of solvents, so of VOC emissions, stop burning money, and if we consider emissions in the UK, for example, where laws for emissions they can't see the slides apparently, someone's saying. I did share the screen. Can you see my slides? Yes, we can. Okay, so RTOs, they can be oxidated in combustion units, similarly to the majority of plants in the UK, or they can be recovered through the use of active core filters, and they can be regenerated on site and reused through distillation units. So they can be reused in manufacturing processes, and this will imply significant cost savings. And it also implies some environmental advantages because we will reduce emissions of carbon dioxide.
Il processo di produzione di stampa rotocalco.
So if we consider the roto printing process, well, we know that different machines are used. We have a printing rotograver house, and once the color is deposited, solvent evaporates, and it needs to be exhausted. And in this case, we use active core filters that trap solvents so that they can reach the atmosphere cleanly, so according to best available technology criteria. Then once the regeneration and the recovery process is over, the solvent is distilled and it can be used for ink dilution procedures.
Che si va a stampare per la produzione di imballaggio flessibile.
Obviously, these plants are geared towards large packaging manufacturers that have from 5 to 8 rotograver machines or lamination machines, etc. In other words, companies that use high quantities of solvents. Solvents are distilled through complex distillation systems. So we typically use 3 columns in order to recover 2 different types of solvents that you can see here. So ETOC, ETAC, and POH, H2O. And they are reused for the production of ink. So we have 3 columns. The first one is an atmospheric column for high boiling substances that are accumulated into tanks, and then they can be reused for cylinder cleaning procedures. Then we have the second column, the pressure there is 6 bar, so they are dehydrated with molecular sieves in order to trap humidity that was absorbed by the active core filters, especially in the production floors where rotogravure machines are installed typically, and so they typically absorb a little bit of humidity. We use molecular sieves to dehydrate solvents down to 0.1%, and then it goes into the second column, and it separates ethyl acetate, and nitrogen is instead handled in the third column, and we have the alcohol mix there. Recently, we installed some of these plants for large converting units with 8 rotogravure machines. And so 2 years ago, though, we decided to design a new solvent recovery system, a more compact, a more flexible design, which is suited for small and medium flexible packaging manufacturing units. This is the X-CSR unit, and it's a compact solvent recovery solution, and this uses a vacuum desorption technology in order to extract solvents from active core filters and then purify and cleanse them up, as explained earlier. These are some examples, and these plants are pre-designed in our workshops. They are fully wired, tested, and isolated to be installed. Installation activities are conducted on site, and they're pretty limited thanks to the smart design of this modular system. So you see that they range from smaller units with 1 or 2 rotogravure machines up to larger plants with 10 Flexo printers, for example, or Flexo printers plus other solvent-based copying units. So the system is very streamlined, very simple. Suffice it to set it up on a concrete platform, and it's very easy to install. Recently, we installed some of these plants in Africa, where the emissions issue is not as stringent as it is over here. And it is necessary for them to be able to recover solvents and reuse them rather than importing them from Europe. So, because transportation of solvents to Djibouti implies a lot of money spending and also pollution. So procurement is safe and sound because it's always on site, so they can recover solvents from inks very easily, and they are indeed self-sufficient. And they use these solvents for other purposes as well. We also have other plants in Italy, and this is the XCSR module that was recently installed, and you see that modular with just 1 regeneration unit, so very flexible in terms of system design. We also have larger equipment all over the world: Brazil, Chile, Croatia, France, and Russia. And they can actually recover from 1,000 to 4,000 tons of solvent, and the investment is paid back in, say, 2 years, because we're talking about total earning for year net of $3,200,000 US. So We also have plants that we use to recover ketones, such as methyl ketone, which is very expensive in France in this case. It's used for the so-called Roquefort cheese, which is laminated. And you see some of the facts and figures, and also the payback capex, which is, as I said, less than 1.5 years. In the last 2 years, we sold approximately 12 solvent recovery units in the whole world. So Turkey, France, Italy, Austria, Ethiopia, China, Croatia, Russia, and so on down the line. So this is evidence of the fact that on a global scale, there is a growing interest in this solution. First of all, we want to reduce our environmental footprint in countries where these laws aren't enforced yet. And the second concept is that of circular economy that makes it possible to manufacture packaging solutions in a more flexible and versatile fashion. So in this case, solvents are recovered fully and reused by delivering economic benefits and also environmental advantages. So that's a healthy, sought after practice that makes our industry more sustainable. So I would like to apologize for the technical fluke, and I would like to thank you for your attention. Well, no worries, Mr. Dell'Acqua. Thanks very much for your presentation. Now, let's move to another case scenario. This is a company which was set up in 1963 with over 50 years of experience, 1,500 employees all over the world, 8 production plants and 4 subsidiaries in China, the US, India, and Spain. This is Omet. Turnover is, say, 130 million euros. And with us today, there's Sergio Villa, export area manager. He's going to talk about the green side of printing. Please.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Thank you, Matteo. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank the attendees for devote their time to join today's meeting. I'm one of the last speakers, so I'll try to be very brief and to provide some useful input. Now, I would like to talk about environmental issues from a broad perspective. Just a couple of words about OMET. Our motto, our slogan is innovation with passion. This means that our company growth is based on product innovation and on performance. So, thanks to this approach, this is not by chance, by hazard, but it is the result of a full commitment of our company in this sector. I appreciated what Mr. Carmelo said, talking about technology content as a way forward to the UK market. I fully agree with him, and our practical experience and our plans in England confirm this. We have over 1,800 machinery all over the world, large part located in the UK. And the UK, we have very high top-of-the-range machinery. This means that technology, high technology, is the key for us, for Italian companies to be appreciated on the UK market. Just a few words about our world customers. On the right-hand side, you see very well-known multinationals. Almost all of them I would say, have production plants in the UK. So it's clear. This shows our presence on the UK market.
Già direi 15 anni fa
15 years ago, we started to think that we needed to do something about the environment. And if you also consider the current situation, COVID pandemic, this somehow affects globalization and the speed versus fragility issue. It's something very topical today. Working on this entails cost reductions for our customers. So you can see we can have a multiple impact as you can see. So I won't dwell into on the machinery, OMET machinery, but I would like to provide some input, a general input about inks. Inks in this industry are UV based. OMET was among the solvent-based and water-based flexo printing industry in the narrow and mid-web sector, not only as a standalone technology, but also as a combination of technologies where we are able to combine water-based, solvent-based, and UV-based technologies. It's clear that managing costs linked with solvent-based and water-based technologies are inferior, are less than the others. But with flexo printing, both with flexo printing and roto printing, you can reduce the amount of solvents and oxidation, which is key for customers. Again, Vel Expo Europe last year, 2019, which took place in Brussels. On that occasion, OMET was the single company, the only company to show a printer, a roto printing machine with which was water-based. About recycling and materials, OMET was set up in 1963 when during the tissue paper transformation. Now, tissue paper is an extremely light material. Typical examples are napkins or reaching up to 16 grams per square meter. And we are able to turn into 700 rotating speed per minute. This technology was also transferred to the printing sector. Therefore, we're able to process very thin materials and materials which are difficult to process thanks to by controlling the tension of the material in a very accurate way. We also developed foil saver systems with also with hot foil. I mentioned earlier UV inks as having the lion's share in this industry. Well, as well as that, we have, as well as the traditional mercury-based UV lamps, we have UV LED lamps, providing several benefits. First of all, the time for switching it off and on in very quick time, we have 10 times performance compared to traditional lamps, 20,000 hours, working hours as compared to 1,000. You can also work on a single diode. You don't need to change the whole bulb. The performance, again, are on-off based, so there is no decay in performance. Either the lamp works or it doesn't. and there is no standby. So you pay per use. This means that that managing costs, working costs are much lower than traditional ones. OMED started to consider these topics 15 years ago. It was back in 2007 when, for the first time in the inline machinery, online introduced a short paper run through patented technologies, which then inspired the whole industry. Basically, what we do is that we use lower paper, we have a lower web length in the machinery, therefore waste is reduced and time is also reduced, and a much more reactive machinery. Moreover, we have developed smart systems for automatizing the machinery. Therefore, the results are, can be repeated, and it is not linked to the operator's skills. Therefore, we have eliminated the skill factor of the operator and of their intervention on the machinery. And then there is also there is a very high demand for thinner materials on the market. So we started a partnership with some Italian top companies. This is what's called CLS, Core Linerless Solutions. OMED is committed to one phase of this process, namely the delamination and relamination of material. In this phase, the liner, silicon-based, is the top laminating film. What are the benefits of this? Benefits in terms of the thickness of end product, very thin end product, therefore benefits in terms of transport and stocking of material. The labor is protected by the laminated film, and then the labels can be printed throughout all the available surface. Now, that was the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. We are available for any questions through by email, phone calls, also through Chimga, if you're interested in getting to know more about these topics. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks very much to Sergio Villa, Export Area Manager at OMED. Now, I would like to introduce Two Sides. Two Sides is an international communication project that provides information about the sustainability of paper and printing. It was launched in 2008 with the purpose of promoting the value of sustainability in the domain of paper-related communication. Two Sides is present in different continents, and it has a central coordination in the UK and some work groups in the world. I would like to welcome Jonathan Tay, Managing Director at Two Sides from the UK. Welcome, Jonathan.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and my thanks to Gwyn for allowing us to talk to all of you today. Can I just have a quick thumbs up? Can you just quickly show me that you can see you can see my presentation? Good. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Well, good. Thank you. I've been given 10 minutes to talk to you today. I understand the audience. You are a mixture of printers, of machinery manufacturers, but people who are involved in the print, paper and paper-based packaging industries. I'm going to explain who Two Sides is. but I'd like to start by saying, hopefully for all of us, there are some really great reasons why we love paper. Our businesses are based on it, whether it's printing, whether your machines actually run it, but there are some great reasons for us to love paper. So over the next 2 minutes, I'm going to explain who Two Sides are, what we do, but really starting with this. And this is something that hopefully we're all familiar with, that in our day-to-day lives, that we are constantly seeing anti-print, anti-paper, and anti-packaging messages, whether it's an organization saying think before you print, go online, get a digital bill and save a forest. Everywhere we look, there are an enormous amount of anti-print, anti-paper messages. And this is why Two Sides was created. Two Sides is a campaign which is funded by the industry, and we're there to promote the sustainable attributes of print, paper, and paper-based packaging. Our activities are delivered throughout the world, particularly North America, South and Central America. We've got a very big campaign in Europe. I'm managing director of that campaign for Europe, particularly focused in the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, the Nordic countries, Austria, the Low Countries, and then also South Africa and Australia. So some of the key things that we face is consumers believe that the paper industry is causing the destruction of forests. The reality, as many of you will be aware, actually forests or trees from which paper is made in Europe are actually growing in size. Just like your crops, cereal crops are grown for your cereals, as are trees, they are grown for the paper industry from which European paper is made, growing by the equivalent of 1,500 football pitches every day. The other big myth about our industry is paper and paper-based packaging is wasteful. We actually have the best recycling rate of any material. For graphical papers, we recycle 72% of waste paper in Europe. And for paper packaging, we're currently recycling 84% of paper-based packaging in Europe. And this is made into new products. We really have a great recycling rate. And people believe that electronic communications are better for the environment than paper, without ever considering that electronic communications, they use power, they use energy. PCs, laptops, iPhones, they're made from non-renewable materials and are very hard to recover, reprocess, and remake into new materials. So Two Sides work is in 3 areas. Firstly, we tackle these claims that businesses make. So we write to organizations, and when we see these statements that move online and save a tree, move to email away from tree mail, we write to these businesses and we tell them it's not based on fact and they must remove them. And to date, and these are just some of the brands that Two Sides have engaged, to date we've actually engaged and we've changed more than 650 companies' messages, big organizations, getting them to remove these statements that print, paper and paper packaging are bad for the environment because it's not based on fact. But how do we improve consumers' perception? And this is the bit that really I hope interests you and is an opportunity. We have an industry initiative called Love Paper. In Italy, because I know there are a lot of Italians on, we have a green heart because I know a black heart in Italy means something else. But we have a Love Paper campaign and a Love Paper logo, which appears in national adverts around the world, newspapers and magazines. And it reaches over 10 million consumers every month to explain the sustainable nature of paper-based products. We also have a lot of brands who are starting to use this, who want to put the Love Paper logo on their printed communications. And a good example there is what is called the Argos Catalogue in the United Kingdom. 4 million of these catalogues have been produced for Christmas carrying the Love Paper logo, because Argos want people who read their magazine to know that paper comes from a sustainable source. And this is something that you can all use. So whether you're a printer, whether you're a publisher, whether you're a machinery manufacturer, we would all encourage you to use the Love Paper logo on your printed communications to help explain the sustainable nature of our products. One of the most important things we do is to provide fact-based information for the industry to use. All of this is available in many languages, particularly the key European languages, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. But we produce our Myths and Facts booklet, which covers the key myths that we discussed at the start about European forests and how they're growing in size. And then we have much more detailed fact sheets about recycling, about forest growth, about renewable energy used by our sector. And all of these resources, all of these fact sheets and all of our booklets can be personalized for members, so you can have your logo on there and that it becomes a document or a brochure or a fact sheet that your business can use if you're being asked questions about the sustainability of the products that we make. We also produce a range of specific information related to paper-based packaging. So why packaging is renewable. Many of the information is similar or the same, but we produce different specific fact-based information for paper-based packaging. As far as our communications is concerned, we have 2 websites. The Two Sides website, which is very heavy with information, 11 language versions. We send newsletters, we produce social media, but this is us talking to the business, so business to business communications. 2 sides, a huge amount of information. And then we have the Love Paper consumer website, us talking to consumers. Much slimmer messages, much simpler messages in 7 different languages. And again, we send newsletters and we use social media widely to communicate to consumers that paper is a sustainable medium. So look, I've just been given 10 minutes to talk to you today. Understand that Two Sides, we engage businesses, we stop them making these statements that paper and paper packaging is bad for the environment. We produce the Love Paper campaign, which you can use to engage and inform consumers about the great sustainable nature of our products. And we produce facts and information that you can use within your own businesses. I'm Managing Director for UK and Europe, so if you have any questions or you want more information or you want to get access to some of our resources, please email me directly. But I have also put details of our Italian country manager, Massimo Ramuni, who is working within Assocata, only because I know there are many Italians who are on the call today. But we also have country managers native in France, in Germany, and other countries as well. So please, if you'd like more information about Two Sides, you'd like to become involved, please just give me a call or send me an email and we'd love to help.
Jonathan,
thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Grazie per la presentazione. Io però ho una piccola domanda. In questo momento
presentation. I have a quick question for you. Right this minute, the economy is experiencing a major slowdown, and we think that sustainability is an important goal whenever it can be pursued. Whenever there is an economic contraction, sustainability is typically put on the side. Do you think that sustainability will still remain a hot topic moving forward?
That's a really good question. In the last global recession, we saw that sustainability and environment for many companies suddenly became less important. And we were concerned that the impacts of COVID, and as we go into an economic recession, the same would happen this time. From all experts we've spoken to, from all activity that we've seen, actually, the impact of COVID is that sustainability for businesses will be even more important in the future. So if I have any words of advice for you as an industry and a sector, is make sure that you do focus on sustainability, because for your customers, for big organizations in the future, sustainability won't fall off their agenda. With COVID, it's going to become even more important. Climate change, carbon reduction, resource efficiency, it's going to be even more important for the future.
Molto bene, grazie. Thank you very much, Jonathan Tame, Managing Director di Two Sides UK. Ci spostiamo a un altro gruppo.
Let's move on to the Blue Tree print group, which was set up in 2009, the first British manufacturer of surgical masks. Blue Tree Print has three brands. Instaprint is one of them. We have Mark Young with us, a managing director of Blue Tree Print for the print division, and I would like to welcome Mark with us today, and I would like to give him the floor. Take it away.
Hi, yes, my name is Mark Young. I'm Managing Director at Blue Tree Print here in South Yorkshire in the UK. We are the UK's largest online printer, and we have just expanded into the medical surgical mask business in the UK. So we have just this year launched a new division as part of the Blue Tree Group, creating surgical masks for the NHS.
Allora, cominciamo col parlare cortesemente del...
Start by talking about the 4.0 paradigm for your industry and the automation processes.
Yeah, so for us, for me personally, my background is in the studio and pre-press department. So much of my career so far has been spent on working on automation and automated processes within the print side of our business. So on my agenda really early on when I joined the business about 8 years ago was how do we take a team that was dealing with 50 jobs per week to what is now 5,000 and plus jobs per day. So we've using a number of different kind of tools and resources throughout my journey with the business, being able to really transform from what was a small printing company in South Yorkshire to the biggest online printer in the UK. So my background was in the studio and pre-press teams, and now that I'm overseeing the print division and the print group, I'm now also working with the production teams and some of the automated processes that they've brought in over the years. So over the last year, we've introduced automated jogging systems, automated business card cutting and packing systems, automated plate benders in the litho plate room. So we have, we're really starting to tie together a lot of the individual processes around the business through automation and automated machinery and kit.
Aspettiamo che finisca la traduzione. Vorrei sapere qual è il suo...
I would like to know your point of view about the need to balance and sustainability and production targets, which have been set very high for your own group recently.
Yes, definitely. So, well, first off, if we look at the print division, a lot of our customers are small and micro businesses, small business owners themselves, and we are under constant pressure to improve our sustainable output, our sustainable processes, to have a more sustainable supply chain for our products, and to reduce the plastics in our packaging and products as well. So we've spent the last few years really focusing on a number of initiatives inside the business to help us do that. A big one that we've got running currently, we run this each year. We run a quarter-long kind of thematic goal for the entire business called War on Waste, in which we ask everybody across the team to identify elements of waste in their stream and in their area. So we're currently running through that at the moment. We've had successes from that over the last few years in moving to alcohol-free litho processing, moving to processless plates in the litho room. We have new ink-saving software has been implemented across our digital presses and our inkjet presses to reduce the ink costs in the work that we're putting out and reduce the amount of ink that we're using. Last year we introduced a new imposition software which has reduced our paper wastage by a significant amount, and actually just this year we've introduced a new production control team whose entire responsibility is to systematically route work to the correct processes within the business. So we have inkjet technology, we have litho technology, we have digital technology, and we now have Landa as well. The production control team's role is to take those 5,000 jobs each day and navigate them to the correct process to make sure that we are producing it the most efficiently and sustainably way possible.
In questo periodo si è dato molto valore.
Flexibility has become very important, and resilience too lately, because companies have to be flexible enough and in the market, and you proved to be very flexible because you were able to transform manufacturing process for converting into the mask producing process, the mask box. Can you tell us something about that?
Yes, certainly. So we've always seen ourselves as a business with two kind of key specialities. So we, on one hand, we're an e-commerce business, and we develop e-commerce solutions for customers. And on the other hand, we are a manufacturing business, and that's the print and production manufacturing that we have on site. So we already had a team which had a vast experience in manufacturing and building a factory and growing a business very, very quickly. We were part of the Sunday Times Fast Track 100 2 years in a row as the business grew. So we have a lot of experience already in the business of kind of developing manufacturing and growing it very, very quickly. Earlier in the year, when COVID hit the UK, we saw an opportunity to move into manufacturing for face masks. So we had recently acquired the building next door to put some new events and large format printing equipment in there and to expand into the event sector. Obviously, the event sector is a bit quiet at the moment, so that kind of went on the hold pretty quickly, but it became a perfect environment for us to develop this face mask manufacturing hub. And since then, we've gone on to build 9 clean rooms, install 36 face mask machines, and we've hired, as of yet, we've hired about 250 new employees so far. And we think we'll have a total of 400 new staff by the time we are fully fulfilling the NHS contract that we have. So it's been a pretty tireless kind of summer. It's been a relentless year, but because of the experience we already had with manufacturing and the staff and the team that we had already, it was a pretty straightforward transition from print technology to the mask technology. And we've used the same principles and processes that we use in our print manufacturing plant in the face mask manufacturing plant as well.
Molto bene, allora grazie per tutti I risultati.
So thank you for your success, for your outcome, and for telling us about that. I thank Mark Young, the managing director of Blueprint. We now have another company set up in 1989, a specialized leader for printing for packaging. It publishes 3 magazines. We have Charlie Cortens, the assistant editor for Whitmer publication. Thank you so much for being with us, and you have the floor.
Brilliant. Hello, everyone. As you've just heard, my name is Charlie Cortens, and I'm the assistant editor at Whitmer Publications. As part of my talk today, I've been asked to share a little bit of our insight that we can provide about the British print market and how it's faring. The first thing you should know is that Whitmer is based in southern England, about an hour outside London. We publish 3 magazines. Those are Digital Printer, Digital Labels and Packaging, and Flexotech. Digital Printer is a monthly magazine which covers all aspects of the British commercial digital print market. DLP, as you might expect, is devoted to all of the labels and packaging market that is printed digitally. Unlike DB, it has a truly global focus. Finally, Flexotech focuses on the flexographic printing industry, and we believe it's the only English language magazine that does so. So onto the British print market. According to the industry body BPIF, the printing industry is vital to the British economy. It adds £5.5 billion in gross value every year. It employs 112,000 people, and it pays £3.3 billion in wages every year. However, there's no doubt that parts of the sector, especially in commercial print, have suffered in 2020. The coronavirus pandemic and the lockdowns that are associated with it have crippled the hospitality, tourism and exhibition industries in Britain, and those are obviously bread and butter for many print companies. Data from IPIA, which is another organisation representing print in this country, recently conducted some research which suggests that more than 3,000 companies could still go out of business before Christmas unless the government introduces some form of targeted help. The IPIA has also added that another 3,000 companies will only be able to stay in business for 6 more months after Christmas, and less than 10% of those companies are eligible for the current government support schemes. That isn't to say it's all doom and gloom. Some of the print companies are incredibly versatile and incredibly creative. You've just heard from Mark, and Bluetree is obviously one of those companies that has proven its versatility and branched out into other products. Many of those have been inspired by the pandemic. You know, they include personal protective equipment, social distancing signage, and more. Companies are also keeping their minds on the future. Burgeoning markets such as digitally printed textiles are attracting huge amounts of attention, and many organisations are looking to move into applications like decor and digitally printed garments. Sustainability and green printing are also very much on the radar. Lockdown in England has resulted in a reduction in harmful emissions as a result of less travel and reduced production. That's across all industries, not just across print. And Prime Minister Boris Johnson has also promised to promote a clean and green recovery from lockdown and to continue to work towards the UK's net zero emissions target by 2050. Eco-friendly inks, substrates and production methods are all hot topics across print, and this change is being driven partly by consumer demands and partly by companies who have a sense of responsibility. Organisations are also pushing forward when it comes to their workflows, prioritising automation, Industry 4.0, and other similar innovations that they think will help them stay ahead of the game in the years to come. With data becoming an ever more powerful tool and web to print an ever more important way of staying in touch with customers, we expect these trends to continue. Moving into the labels and packaging sector, we think it's long been common to call labels and packaging recession-proof. But we think we can now also call them pandemic-proof as well. The consumer FMCG-orientated nature of labels and packaging has seen them ride out the effects of COVID-19 about as well as anything can. This was especially true during the early stages of the pandemic. Only time will tell if and how this is replicated during the current and future spikes, but consumers will always need to buy and consume food, beverages, personal care, pharmaceuticals, and similar products. As with commercial print, 2020 has been an opportunity for companies to demonstrate their ingenuity. Breweries, for example, have switched from selling in pubs, which is obviously a big thing in England, to selling direct to consumers. Germ killing and bacterial eliminating hygiene products have also contributed to early successes, if we want to phrase it that way, with hand sanitizer labels being big business in the spring of 2020. There are even examples of UK converters who have delivered record results this year as a direct consequence of high demand for printed labels and packaging, with digital more often than not central to delivering rapid turnaround times. So, whilst not entirely shielded from the impact of COVID-19, the overall outlook for digitally printed labels and packaging is, we think, cautiously optimistic. An interesting consideration will be how the industry balances such market drivers with an underlying trend for greater sustainability and a move towards a circular economy. The move from in-store retail purchasing to online and e-commerce will bring new challenges regarding how consumers interact with a brand and how they purchase their products, and the role the labels and packaging will have to play in whatever the new normal ends up being. This will invariably see digitally printed corrugated packaging have a more important role to play in the years to come. We do expect that the next year will bring about a renewed focus on consolidation, particularly within inkjet supply chains. Private equity is taking a close look at the converter community and where investment can be made to take smaller and medium-sized businesses to the next level. Finally, we come to flexography. We also think the Flexo industry looks as if it will emerge from 2020, at least in England, almost unscathed. We base this on the fact that the majority of Flexo printers produce packaging and labels for the food and drinks industry, and that customer demand has remained almost constant. In fact, as with digital, during the first national lockdown, many saw demand surge, and that was particularly driven by panic buying in supermarkets as everyone stocked up on food, toilet rolls, etc. In July of this year, Debbie Waldron-Hoynes, a consultant CEO of EFIA, told Flexotech that whilst it's clear every business has been affected in some way in the Flexo printing industry, the main challenge has come from the ceasing or suspension of new product launches. This has affected trade shops in particular and investments in equipment to handle new business. We know that many of our members have taken up the range of financial support on offer, but we are very blessed in the packaging industry as many members' businesses have remained buoyant, particularly if they supply the food and beverage sector. End quote. Further up the supply chain, Flexo machinery suppliers also seem to be doing okay. Spending and investments into machinery don't seem to have been affected too badly this year. However, big investments are often planned months in advance, and so the spending plan in many cases could have started before COVID became a reality. Naturally, we have spoken to some suppliers who say that some of their customers have postponed big purchases due to concerns about the fragile nature of the economy in Britain. The latest research from Smithers predicts that the global value of Flexo printing will rise from 167 billion in 2020, that's in US dollars, to 181 billion in 2025. That's a compound annual growth rate of 1.6%. Data from the market report, The Future of Flexographic Printing to 2025, shows this equivalent to a rise in annual Flexo output volume from 6.73 trillion A4 prints to 7.45 trillion from 2020 to 2025. That's our brief summary of the UK print sector and a little bit more. Thank you very much.
E allora ho una domanda, grazie per la presentazione, Charlie.
Thanks very much for your presentation, Charlie. Well, since you mentioned some panic moments that have pushed consumers to overstock food products and to purchase printed goods as well. So the whole industry somehow has been navigating in this uncertain present and future. Having said that, I would like to know whether sustainability and a green approach can still hang in there in order to boost sales in the industry of converting, printing and packaging solutions. What's your take on it?
Brilliant. I think it's still a key issue, and it's something that is very much on companies' radars. In the past, if such a crisis had hit, perhaps people would have seen sustainability and environmentally friendly practices as less of a priority. But it's reached such a crescendo in the public consciousness that you can't ignore it anymore. As Jonathan alluded to when talking about two sides, the whole print industry is aware of how important environmentally sustainable practices are. And I don't think there are any serious companies that can ignore it. So absolutely, I think it will remain a key priority.
Molto bene, grazie mille per il suo punto di vista.
Indeed, thanks very much, Charlie, for your presentation. Charlie Courtens, Assistant Editor at Whitmer Publications.
Volevo dirlo in inglese, così era evidente che un pensiero va rivolto a loro. Grazie anche a tutti gli italiani che hanno partecipato.
To the Italian attendees, I would like to thank our host, Andrea Briganti, General Manager at Acimga. Andrea?
Grazie a tutti ancora.
Thank you again to all attendees. I think that very interesting input was given today in terms of forecast for manufacturing and in terms of interpreting the market, in this case the UK market. We're going to repeat this format at the end of 2020 in Egypt and Algeria. So we are moving through the EMEA market, visiting the markets that can be managed by the headquarter and overcoming the distances, because this format, this streaming format was conceived to provide information input to Italian companies with the marketing follow-up. This is including the Future Factory concept. You see the name on the screen. This is Acimga's way to aggregate our community in the printing and converting market. It was conceived in June in a Print for All web edition for all. Over 1,000 people connected, over 400 from abroad. And we repeated this experience this year too, dedicated to rotogravure, roto printing. And we are doing it again today through our international webinars to give our contribution in terms of international promotion, because this is key, of course, for our net exporting sector, for industrial mechanics in general, and converting and printing industry as well. We will meet again, presumably in March 2021, before Drupa, if dates are not changed for the 2021 edition of this world event. We're going to meet within the Print for All conference. We do hope that we will be able to join physically that event. And then we will meet again in 2022, based on the Drupa schedule. Again with a Print for All event. I thank you all, because this was a very interesting, I think, fruitful meeting. We were given some very interesting inputs for product and positioning, and in terms of general trend on the market. For any questions or further information, you can contact Acimga, myself, and we have a very interesting project, a Carta Grafica Federation project, aggregation project, also joined by Assocarta. Once again, thank you all. Thank you, Andrea Briganti, Acimga's General Manager. I thank all the attendees. Next Future Factory Streaming Roadshow will be in Egypt.